Greetings, Taurus. My name is Gabriel, and this is going to be your grand tableau with your messages for the month of December. Messages for the month of December for Taurus. Honestly, guys, I'm a Taurus myself. May 10th. I think it's the best time of year to have a birthday. I started doing this because I really didn't see anybody kind of doing standalone Lenormand readings on YouTube. I think the Lenormand is a beautiful oracle. I don't know, I think it kind of gets a bad rap. I think people think that it's, a simple or mundane or base thing. Sometimes people call it fortune telling as though it's kind of like a lesser, more parlor game trick type version of the tarot. And I don't really think that that's the case. I think that both systems speak using different voices, but I think that they can kind of say the same things. It's a system that I love. I've been reading Lenormand for myself and for my friends, for other people, for 6 or 7 years now. I do also read tarot and Verisibilla as well. But let's focus on messages for Taurus, Sun, Moon, and Rising for the month of December. That's it. For Taurus. Oh, wow. All right. So the way I kind of like to do these, I think that Lenormand really requires you to lean into, your intuition or, your guides, your constellation of spirits, wherever you think the information comes from. I think you really have to lean into those things in order to be able to move through the oracle in a way so that it doesn't really feel like too much of a labyrinth. Sorry, I'm trying to arrange these so that hopefully you can kind of see them. So the first thing that comes to mind is, in this first house that we have up here at the top, this is the house of the writer, right? Anything that's kind of in this quadrant is going to be energy that's kind of coming in. So when we're looking at a forecast for the month of December, we have here the Sun, Clover, Bouquet, and Book. And not to lie, I mean, these are really, really good energies. I always love, obviously the Sun's the first card here, but all over I always love to see the sun above the moon. Whatever type of spread you're doing when you're putting cards down, or at least for me, whenever I see the moon here at the bottom and the sun here at the top, or at least that the sun is above the moon, to me that always kind of represents that things are the way they should be, right? You are on the right path. Taurus, whatever you have found yourself doing throughout this last part of the year, I feel like it's been a year of some pretty serious changes. You're doing the work that you need to be doing, and you are on the path that you should be on, and those are things that are ultimately going to yield you a lot of surprises and abundance of knowledge. Here we have the bouquet next to the book, and I think that kind of perhaps the recent changes in your life, or maybe there are recent changes at your job, I think you're going to find yourself learning a new skill set, or perhaps being pushed outside of your comfort zone, particularly at work, to maybe work beyond your experience, right? Like maybe you're in charge of I don't know, something new at work that you've never really done before. And maybe it feels a little uncomfortable, and it feels a little new, and you feel kind of insecure in that. But ultimately, it's something that's going to really, really be a game changer in your life. And it's interesting because the card that we actually have that represents the job, when we look at the cards that are surrounded, right? So we have job here, bouquet, which is surprises, usually pleasant surprises. Clouds, which is shifting, things maybe aren't quite for certain, things are moving. And down here we have stork. And the stork represents kind of seasonal change or cyclical change. The stork is a caring energy. It's a nurturing energy. Myself, I'm a social worker in my daily life. And for me, whenever I'm doing my daily draws and I see the stork coming up, I know it has to be something to do with work, with my job. So whatever you're doing, perhaps in your job, you find yourself in a position where you're working more so with other people, or you're working perhaps in something like customer service, or something where you are the face, where you are the point person, where you are the contact. I think that could actually change. I think when we're talking about, like what I said before, changes at work, positive changes at work that are pushing you, beyond your comfort zone. I think that kind of energy of what you were doing before for the other 2/3 of the year, I feel like that's rapidly going to be changing. And it's going to be a necessary change. It's going to be kind of the dissolving of maybe how you looked at your job, how you looked at your work. Something in your job, you're changing so that I think you're going to become more of perhaps not changing your job in itself, but you're going to be more of the public face of something, or more of I don't know, perhaps taking on a training role, some type of role where you're outward and you're communicative and you're expressive with other people, right? This isn't like the type of change that puts you in the background. Quite the opposite. It's the type of change that puts you out in front, talking with other people, right? We also have the birds here, kind of in this quadrant. The birds represents, and also the letter here. And also the cross, right? So communicating important information, communicating really crucial pieces of information. For other people, when we look at this quadrant here, especially maybe for Taurus women, committing to a new venture, right? Maybe some of you could be moving, changing house, moving to a new state. But really there's some major type of, we have ring, child, ship, and cross. Especially for Taurus women, major changes that result in new ventures. I think these are things that were perhaps once kind of dreams or wishes, things whose seeds were planted maybe in the earlier part of the year, or maybe even back into 2018. I think these are things that are finally coming to fruition for you. Especially so if they involve other people, right? In the Lenormand, of course, we have the two main significators. We have woman and man. But we also, we have to remember that it's based in cartomancy as well. So we have other people who are part of this situation. And we can use those as secondary significators. Here we have the woman, and she's looking off into the future, right? She's kind of, all of this is behind her. All of this is stuff that she has already experienced. All of this is the buildup, and she's looking out onto something new, a new commitment. I think it's quite possible that a lot of Taurus women could be kind of doing some type of contractual work. Here we see the fox, and then ring, and below the fox is home. So maybe some type of position, some type of thing where you're opening your own business. Perhaps you're working from home. Perhaps you're doing some type of contract work. Maybe you're staying in the same job, but you're going to be working from home. Ultimately, that's something that's going to be very profitable for you. It's going to be a shift, and it's going to require a lot of discipline, fish, and whip. But this is something that I think, if that resonates with you, I can see here we have the ship, and it's really close to the cross. Sometimes the ship is called the wish card. It's venturing forth, right? There's an element of uncertainty, but it's making a leap of faith. And then also we have cross, right? The cross is a station of life. The cross is a situation that you cannot get out of, but ultimately it's love, right? It's love. It's an act of love that changes your life. It's love expressed unto yourself that allows you to make a radical change in your life. A period of serious change. These are good cards, Taurus. Or at least cards of really serious change. There's also a certain mystical undertone to this month as well. I would be really focusing on your dreams. Maybe start keeping a dream journal if you haven't already. So we have one of the significators here. And throughout these readings, I don't know, I'm pretty cavalier with I think some men are represented by the woman card and some men are represented by the man card. I really just think that they're just two significators, right? So I think it's really possible here we have one of the significator cards. It's surrounded by lilies, rider, and then up here we have heart, stars, moon. Lilies represents something that is old, right? It's a calming energy. Lilies are very dry. It's your ancestors, right? It's quiet. It's quietude. It's solace. It's finding time alone. Rider is messages, things coming towards you. And then this combination of moon and stars, I think it represents dreams. I think it may be wise to really focus on your dreams, maybe keeping a dream journal throughout this month. I think it could be very possible. I mean, in my personal readings, in my spiritual practice, dreams and dream interpretation are such a key point. It's where we first look for signs from your guides or your ancestors, whatever you want to call it, whatever your spiritual practice kind of calls it. And if you don't really have a spiritual practice, I think it was Jung who said that every figure in our dreams is actually some fragment of ourself. And I think for this month, this kind of constellation, this cluster, tells us that your dreams are going to be really important, or at least it's really worthwhile for you to be looking at your dreams, because they are going to have a messenger-like quality. And I think they're going to be really key messages as well. I would say definitely keep a dream journal. It's going to be an interesting month for it, for sure. Let's see. What else do we have here? For your health. I think this is really timely for this being December, but, we see the health card. I think it could be possible that you're maybe spending a little too much time indoors. Maybe a little too much drinking as well, right? So we have fish, which kind of has that water element, and then we have snake here, which is venomous. And then bear, which is kind of a sense of self-indulgence as well. Tower is that kind of isolating quality. House could be in your house, inside. I think you really need to focus on making decisions to get outside, maybe decisions to recommit to whatever type of fitness routine that you like. I think there's a lot of kinetic energy in the air for that commitment to really kind of sink in, right? All of these kind of signatures that we're seeing here, it seems like the salient theme is that there's so much potentiality this month for you to make major, well, I should say, small life changes that you can commit to, and those small life changes are going to have a major effect on the quality of your life over time. So focus on the things that you put your energy into this month, because those are the things that are ultimately going to grow. And I think when it comes to your health, it could be really worthwhile for you to step outside your comfort zone, right? Even if maybe you are getting outside of your house, or, it's not necessarily that you're a layabout, and maybe getting off the couch isn't a problem for you. Maybe, go do something, some physical activity to get yourself into something that's kind of outside of your comfort zone. I think that could be a really good idea. And definitely cut back on the drinking. I know during this time of year, at least in the United States, we have kind of one holiday after the other in pretty quick succession, and all of them are kind of, either just holidays where you just sit around and eat all day and then sit around and drink all day. And as fun as that is, and I'm not going to, say that I'm exempt from doing that, it may be really worthwhile to limit that as much as you can. Let's see. I think for those of you who are in a relationship, I think those relationships are going to stay stable throughout the month. I think it's quite possible that, you know, the partner that you have, I think is going to be a kind of a source of guidance for you this month. Perhaps more so than normal. You know, I think there are two qualities of relationships, right? And I think every relationship has both. You know, there are gravitational relationships that provide stability. You know, it's a gravitational relationship makes you feel safe and secure and protected and comforted. And then there's what's called a levitational relationship. And a levitational relationship makes you feel adventurous and pushes you out, right? A partner that kind of forces you, or not forces you, but inspires you to be experimental, to try new things, to do something crazy with your life, to pick up a new hobby. And I think this month, I would say it's safe to say that you can expect your partner to kind of have more of that levitational type quality, right? See your relationship as something that pushes you outward, as opposed to something that just gives you stability and a sense of safety and a sense of protection, right? So we have heart, the stork, and then I'm attracted to this kind of like flying, you know, and that's where I get that. It made me think of the levitational relationship, pushing you outward, challenging your sense of anchored and your sense of stability. And that's kind of what's going to keep your relationship from feeling stale and from feeling like it's boring or tired, right? Channel that relationship, or channel that energy that your partner is giving you into trying new things this month. I think there's a lot of kinetic, like that's the way the wind is blowing this month. I think it could be really quality for you to do that. These are really beautiful cards, Taurus. Sometimes I like to look at the four corners, and those kind of give me the kind of the cornerstones of the spread. And here we have sun, positive, vitality, nourishing, things are being revealed, things are being opened to you, especially when it's, you know, I mean, it's here in the corner, which is like an energy coming into your life. It's the house of the writer. You know, it's like the surface of Pluto come alive with sunshine, a realization. And then we have the ring here, which is a sense of commitment. It could be a sense of commitment to yourself, right under one of the significators. A sense of commitment to your own life and to your own well-being. Down here we have whip, discipline. Focus on where you are disciplining yourself. Committing to some type of discipline, whether it be your work routine, whether, you know, like what we talked about here with perhaps stepping outside and trying some type of new physical activity, or maybe committing to seeing your relationship in a new way. Ultimately, I think there's a lot of energy for you to positively choose where you discipline yourself. What disciplines are you holding yourself towards? And then here we have the lilies, right? Take time for yourself. Take a breath. Enjoy the work that you've done. the whole spread just kind of gives me this sense that you've worked really, really hard, or maybe you've kind of endured a lot of uncertainty for the past year. A lot of changes, a lot of monumental changes, a lot of uncertainties here. And now that we finally come to the end, and we're kind of looking at all of these changes come into play, and we're looking at the way that these things are being made manifest, take a step back and be sure to enjoy it. To me, this always also represents the ancestors as well, right? Or, you know, if you don't vibe with that, perhaps it could represent just your spirit guides, or your higher voice, or the highest vibration of your own personality, maybe something like that. Obviously, we don't all have the same spiritual path, but, you know, this is kind of like that voice of reason that's telling you to sit back, relax, enjoy the work that you've done. Very cool. Awesome, Taurus. Well, these are wonderful messages. I hope you enjoy the month of December. Again, my name is Gabriel. I'll try to be uploading here with somewhat regularity. Like I said, I primarily read Lenormand. I also read an oracle called La Vera Sibilla, which is an Italian oracle that's not dissimilar. And I also read Marseille style tarot as well, so you could perhaps see these on this channel as well. Be sure to check back soon. I'll have your monthly forecast for the month of January, which is crazy to think about that we're already at the end of the year, up sometime towards the end of December. And I hope you're having a great holiday season for those of you who are celebrating the holidays, and I will see you towards the end of December. Thanks.